imagine one day you wake up out of your bed and take the sheets off of your body and then boom, you have this mountain on your stomach. And no, you're not pregnant. So you get up, go to the bathroom, pee, and then it goes down when you pee. So it's not as noticeable. And then you freak out a little less.
Hi guys, long time no see.
You want to know where I've been? Well, right now I'm going to share with you part 1 of why a YouTube channel that was about to explode completely stopped making videos in the last 5 years. In this video, we're also going to talk about this massive fibroid and how getting it and removing it caused me to rethink my life existence and the new life that I want to live on this earth and the type of channel that I want to have from now on. So if you like extreme and overly thought out videos, then this is the video for you. So let's get started. The first reason why I've been gone so long is because your physical health can mess with your mental health.
So let's start with the physical and the doctors that deal with the physical.
So you go to the doctor to see what's going on. Then they tell you you have something called a fibroid and you're like, what the heck is that? Then they tell you that it's a little growth on your uterus, but since it's not that big and you don't have any symptoms, we'll wait it out and see if any further actions need to be taken. And then I'm like, further actions? Actions like what? Like surgery. Surgery? No. This is not the body for surgery. I don't get surgery. Doctor's talking crazy. But then she was like, since you don't have any symptoms, you might not need it. But we'll wait and see. So since the doctor didn't seem to take the fibroid seriously, and I didn't have any symptoms, I didn't think anything of it. I felt fine. On the other side of my brain, I wanted to quit my teaching job because I wanted to do YouTube full time. Because what I was making on YouTube was turning into the same thing that I was making at my teaching job. And since you do YouTube from your computer, you can literally live anywhere and do it. So when I got an opportunity to move from Boston to go to Maryland, nothing was holding me back. Why not? So now I'm 6 months into my Maryland stay and I'm starting to wake up with my stomach looking a little bigger. So I go online and I look up fibroids and I see a bunch of other women saying they were able to shrink their fibroids with herbs and a diet change. I'm like, no surgery? Say less. So I even bought a bunch of herbs to drink. I came across Dr. Sebi and the foods that he ate and acid and alkaline and the differences and how that could be the reason why the fibroid was in my stomach in the first place. So I started making more videos about the food I ate and drinking gallons of water every day. But I never did make a video about the herbs because it wasn't working. I didn't see any changes. And honestly, I didn't want to bring up this bump or this fibroid back then because I didn't want people to ask me questions about it. I didn't want people's advice on it. I didn't want anything like that. I didn't want to tell people I was going to get rid of this fibroid on my own and then not do it and then be seen as a failure. I didn't want sympathy for something I don't even want to talk about. So it was Christmas time and I came back to Boston and I went to talk to my OBGYN about the herbs that I was trying and if I was using them right and I wanted some help. Did she have any herbs that she could recommend? What should I add? And it turns out the only recommendation that she had for me when it came to herbs were that they don't work. And I'm like, excuse me? Where's the encouragement? Where's the optimism? And yeah, your fibroid is getting kind of big, so maybe it's time for you to schedule that surgery. That's all she had for me. And in my head, I'm thinking, I think it's time we schedule a refund because I want my copay back. I was just dumbfounded with this woman. I was like, really? Like, you're not even going to look at what I'm saying, what I'm talking about? So then I'm like, you know what? I'll just go to another doctor. But then the next doctor tells me the same thing, surgery. Then I'm like, I'm going to go to a different doctor then. Then I hear the same thing again, surgery. Then I finally got the hint. It seems like the standard American health system stands on a universal front that you cannot shrink or get rid of the fibroids in your body without their medications or their surgeries. It's just not humanly possible in their eyes. So when a patient like myself asks them questions about the women I see on the internet who claim to have shrunken their fibroids naturally, doctors can seem to get a little defensive, then go on a show called The Doctors and start to sound a type of way.
A third of women out there who are going to develop fibroids in their lifetime. The question is whether or not it's possible to shrink them yourself.
Finally, it started to make sense to me why the women who were sharing that they were able to shrink their fibroids naturally were always talking in a defensive tone. Because the doctors are so quick to discredit them, even though the fibroid they once said they had is nowhere to be found. Listen to how defensive she sound, y'all.
I had 5 fibroids, and some of you skeptics, which may not believe that, did she really have that many fibroids, and were they really that large, and was she able to really shrink them naturally? And yes, I was able to shrink them naturally. As you can see from my picture here, it was able to shrink naturally by using God's natural healing herbs, and that's all I did, and changed my diet.
Now, listen to the defense and the doctor's voices when it talks about shrinking fibroids naturally.
A lot of women will want a solution, but I don't think this is a good one.
But these herbs seem to be giving some women the results that they want.
It's flat. It's flat. Stomach is flat. Stomach, it's flat.
You can claim anything you want. You don't have to back it up with any scientific data.
Not only are doctors not trying to hear their patients talk about some healing herbs, they're also not trying to hear from the certified holistics.
I decided to go ahead and release my fibroid shrinking recipe book and a new fibroid shrinking teleseminar.
The problem is they have no studies to prove that they will shrink your fibroids because they won't shrink your fibroids.
I don't know what made these wannabe fibroid experts who don't have any kind of holistic training, they don't even have herbal products, they're not even into this at all, want to tell you all this misinformation.
And also, it's not regulated by the FDA, so we don't know that it's safe.
So let's hear what the FDA qualifies as safe when it comes to the treatment of fibroids.
I would recommend going to your doctor and talking about medications that you can use, hormonal and non-hormonal.
You have to stop the medication. If it's anything dealing with hormones, you cannot take that and expect to shrink your fibroids, okay? It's just not going to work that way.
And if that's not going to work for you, talking about when surgery is appropriate.
The fibroids went down naturally. No hysterectomy, no operations. Naturally done.
So an invasive surgery is safer than trying some healing herbs?
These products will not shrink your fibroids. There is no proof that they will.
None of those really have been proven.
Hopefully, we will continue to learn more and more about fibroids, but this isn't the answer.
Choose a God, okay? You all got 1 foot in holistic and 1 foot in the medical community, and you just can't make up your mind.
It's not that I couldn't make up my mind. It's just that I truly didn't know that the standard American doctors and the holistic naturopaths had beef to the point of absolute dismissal of their practices. So me going to a standard American doctor about herbs, I didn't realize I was cross-contaminating belief systems. How would I know? Luckily in my life, I never really felt sick enough to have to understand the differences between the two. I naively thought that standard American doctors' purpose was to heal me. You've been hoodwinked! And not just immediately result to cutting me open. I thought that surgery was only appropriate if I broke something or deeply cut something or got into an accident, not surgery as the first step to an ailment. And even though I was starting to make the same amount of money as I did at my teaching job, YouTube doesn't cover health insurance. I wasn't making enough money to the point where I could just be giving out extra hundreds of dollars a month like that for holistic health. So at this point, I was feeling very stuck and uncomfortable until I heard this story.
I stumbled on a little book that some of you might be familiar with called Fasting Can Save Your Life by Dr. Herbert Shelton. After reading that book and several others on fasting, I started to embrace the notion that the body can heal itself. You really didn't have to do anything when your body was sick. All you really needed to do was just do nothing. And I was bleeding profusely every cycle, so profusely that I had to be hospitalized and transfused. And my doctor told me that I needed to have a hysterectomy. I knew immediately that I wasn't going to do that. I instead went to a fasting clinic, fasted for 24 days on water, got rid, my fibroid tumors totally disappeared. I rushed back home to share that with my doctor because I knew he'd be so interested in this information. So I rush home back to Chicago at the time, and I go to my doctor's office and I tell him I fasted 24 days and examine me and I don't have any fibroids. Well, he blasphemed me. He just ripped me up one side and on the other, and he said that was the stupidest thing he'd ever heard of, that the only thing I'd accomplish doing something like that was killing myself, and that indeed I did not have fibroids. But that's because there must have been some huge mix-up, some huge misdiagnosis.
I thought a water fast was a win-win situation for me, and I would be giving my body the opportunity to heal itself, and to me, the only side effect of not eating for 20 days straight was losing weight, and I was completely okay with that.
Pros of water fasting. You feel like you can do anything afterwards because, oh my God, you didn't eat for 20 days.
I definitely saw it on my face. I saw it in my stomach. I saw it in my legs. I saw it everywhere. I just looked good and I was feeling it. Like, what?
Did it heal all my health problems? No.
Trying these health forward videos blew my channel up. I was doing exercising, eating, and challenge videos, and my views were getting into the millions, which was great, fine, and dandy, but I was miserable.
Alright guys, that was my swimsuit haul for Cupshe. Do you like this bathing suit?
Because even though the brand deals were coming in and my body was looking magnifique, behind all the smiles and twirling, when I lay down to go to bed at night, I still had this massive mountain that was seemingly growing bigger by the month on my stomach. And the videos that were getting me the most views were about my abs and my stomach. So now I'm having to get tricky with the angles in my videos, because even though I'm talking about crunches in the video, part of my abs are going in the other direction. And if I do a slow-mo, you really see the bump. Even though I was grateful that this was a pedunculated fibroid, meaning that it was growing on the outside of my uterus on a stalk, so I don't get any extra bleeding or any long periods, and the likeliness of complications during pregnancy aren't as high because the tumor is on the outside. But the problem with this type of fibroid is that it presses on the bladder. So any amount of pee in my bladder made the bump look bigger. So in these videos, I made sure I peed like every 15 minutes to make sure that the bump looked a lot smaller on camera. But as the months rolled on, hiding the fibroid under an empty bladder became impossible, because empty bladder or not, the fibroid was getting too big to hide. The only other symptom I had that this fibroid caused was the protruding stomach, and the pressure that it put on my bladder had me peeing every 15 minutes at night, so my sleep was getting a little messed up. 6 months later after the fast, the brand deals kept coming in to show clothes on my channel, and the desire to make these videos became non-existent because this fibroid was protruding so much, and I was starting to feel so uncomfortable in my clothes that I was starting to stress out a lot about how big this bump was getting. Because now even wearing jeans was getting super uncomfortable. The zip wouldn't zip up correctly. Sitting down was starting to feel awkward and gross. This bump just wanted to keep growing. And sooner rather than later, I knew I was going to have to end up doing what I dearly did not want to do. And that was get surgery. Since I was only doing YouTube at the time and my channel was just breaking off, I really didn't have the best insurance in the world. So the surgery I would have to get was a laparoscopic surgery where a 5-arm robot would go into your stomach and then tear the fibroid out piece by piece, but leave you with scars all around your stomach. And the thought of getting this type of surgery made me want to cry in defeat. So I looked up all the scars to see what the scars look like and see what scar I could actually deal with. And then I saw this lamb scar. I was like, okay, finally a scar that my brain could tolerate, that wouldn't have to remind me of my defeat every single time I look at my stomach. Like, can you imagine that? Like, I couldn't. So for me to get this scar, I had to move back to Boston, go back to another teaching job that I left so I can get the insurance, so I can get the surgery that I wanted back in Maryland. And I hated every second of this process.
Anything you want to say?
It is 7:03, and I don't know. Really? I'm kidding. I don't know what else to say. Alright. It's gonna go well.
The surgery was a success, and I was able to go home literally a half hour after my surgery.
Look at my scar. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad.
I haven't been able to do this forever. Such an amazing feeling. 2 weeks later, my stomach went from this to this. From that to that. From there to there. From bump to no bump. From mountain to moved mountain. Everything was great except for when I had to cough. Every time I coughed, it felt like I was ripping the stitches open out of my stomach. And it was cold season, so the first week was really, really rough. And now for my biggest fear. What was my scar going to end up looking like? Because, I don't know. I was, under the knife. I was knocked out. I don't know what the scar was actually going to look like. So now for this moment of truth.
It's been 2 weeks.
Haven't seen the scar. Oh, snap. Oh my god. I'm pulling slowly because I don't want to aggravate anything. There's blood and there's like... Okay, so that's one. Oh my god. Looks like there's a hole. Oh my god. That looks so gross. I'm going to the doctor after I take this off because I want to know exactly what I should do. It just looks like a hole. It's supposed to look like that. So it's like scabbed over. It's not wide, which is great. Oh, it looks kind of good actually. So let's continue. It's really sticky. This part, I don't know if it's pulling hair, but ow, this hurts. This part is a lot harder to take off than the other part. Ow. Okay. Maybe I should pull this way. Okay. Yikes. It's like pulling off the scab. It's like taking off the scab with it. Oh, that's how wide it is? It really is the size of a bobby pin. Alright, let's get this thing off. Okay. So that's what it looks like, guys. Now for the stomach. Ooh. Oh my god. Oh. That's perfect! I think. Does that make my stomach look different? Not really. This held perfectly. Not bad at all. So the bottom thing is what I'm really left with. Right here, it's like really numb, and that's the only thing I really feel. It's like really numb right here. But the scar itself, it's hard. Like all this area, like down here is fine. I feel nothing really. But up here, it's kind of hard. Feels like a rug burn, kind of. So I'm gonna go in the shower and wash these bad boys off. See if it looks any different. I'll be back. Not bad. Now it's time for the real part. The surgery that really matters that Beyonce said best. It's time for the mental surgery of the soul.
It's the soul that needs a surgery.
My soul surgery has to deal with the side effects of not finding like-minded individuals when it comes to success and what I believe I'm capable of. Because post-fibroid postpartum, I surprisingly got severely depressed. And experiencing this depression helped me to realize that the road that you take to success may be just as important, if not way more important, than the success itself. I wanted to heal my fibroid naturally. I stressed myself into getting a surgery I didn't want. I had to go back to a job that I didn't want to afford and get the right insurance to get a surgery that I didn't want. Going back to YouTube acting like I didn't have a care in the world, making videos would seem super fake to me. And I also was not in the right frame of mind to express my feelings because I really didn't know how to express my feelings. I ain't never been depressed before. And then having the doctors tell me that there's a possibility that it might grow back and that I might have to have the surgery again was messing with me. And not just that. Do you know how much the surgery ended up costing? $32,000 for the surgery. I didn't have to pay any of it. And they wanted to check in with me 6 months post-surgery just to make sure everything went smoothly. That meant I couldn't leave my job anytime soon. And for that year, the core of who I am and my belief system got completely compromised. My head is naturally in the clouds at all times because that's my nature. That's where I thrive. That's my sweet spot. I'm the type of person that wants to experience my mind and my body performing what some would consider to be miracles because I believe that's what our minds and our bodies are capable of, naturally, since birth. So when I'm hearing that these other women were able to heal their fibroids with herbs and that Dr. Sebi and other holistic naturopaths were able to heal their ailments and then heal all these other people's cancers and countless other conditions, I'm like, yes, that's where I want to be. That's where I belong. That's what I can do too. I want to be a healer too. But the size of my fibroid and my money situation and the fact that I wasn't home and I was on my own trying to do this looking for help, I couldn't find the encouraging voices that could guide me and support me with the healing I believe my mind and body is capable of. The only voices I could hear were the opposite. And I was getting so uncomfortable, I just felt like I had to let go of my belief system and give into the world. And that really compromised my core spirit for a couple of months. And I questioned myself a lot. Have I been wrong about who I think I am all this time? Should I dial back the expectations of what I think I can do? Maybe the world is right and I need to come back down to earth. Maybe I should be more realistic or more worldistic. Having these thoughts put my natural spirit in a deep hole. My natural spirit of belief was dying, but it was not dead.
I don't know why you women think it's just so easy to just do this. It's a program. It's a lifestyle. You have to aim to get off your medication first and then start working on doing holistic methods, all right?
Medication. Yes, get off the standard American diet, but she also said that it's a system. It's a program. What's the program that I've been on my whole entire life without realizing it? I ate a standard American diet, and I had a standard American job, aids me with standard American insurance, that pipelines me into standard American doctors, that coerced me into having standard American surgery. And that standard American health is making somebody really wealthy. Maybe for the holistic approach to work, I gotta remove myself from the entire system. Diet, jobs, doctors, medication, and surgery before I become trapped and forced to do more things that compromise my core spirit. So what's left to do now? Learn and build from this experience. 1, be grateful that almost 4 years have passed and get word that my uterus is still as healthy as can be. Thank God and the surgeons. 2, use my channel to connect with the right people who will do all things to get the results that they want, no matter what other people say, because they just might succeed. Because even though there are some doctors saying natural remedies don't work, there are forms and forms of people who are trying them anyway. And even though some didn't succeed like myself, some did. And I just want to connect with people who have that mindset in general when it comes to all facets of life. And lastly, share all the things that have inspired me over the years. So if you're curious to see what that looks like, then keep on watching. Subscribe, thumbs up, and push that notification bell. Thank you guys so much for watching. Love you guys. Bye.